Hey, welcome to another edition of Chocobo Chasers. I'm G. As always, I'm joined by the Chocobros, Eric and Dash, in a post-Thanksgiving special. How you guys doing today?
Full.
I'm never going to financially recover from this.
Yeah, it was a fun few days. That's for sure. I definitely am. I've got that just feeling where like I needed to be rolled around for like a few days, and it's still kind of there. Now I played football on Thanksgiving and I feel like I was hit by a truck, so that's been enjoyable. We'll go ahead and we'll start off with what are you playing, Eric? I'm gonna have you go ahead and kick us off today.
So, I have played a couple things. Some of the same. Finished Dragon Age Veilguard. I'm going to say this. I think the ending of Dragon Age Veilguard is very strong. I really enjoyed it. It takes the best part. It kind of combines. I can't say the best parts of the suicide mission because it doesn't take that from Mass Effect 2, but it kind of gives callbacks to that. And I think Act 3 of this game is very, very good. I think some of the earlier writing in the game, some of the dialogue, Dash can probably attest to this. Sometimes it kind of just like, like they modernize some of the phrasing in the game, and it just at times didn't really fit what I felt. I think it kind of stuck out to me. It kind of ruined the immersion a little bit.
I saw some people, and I think I saw the best term for it online is it's sanitized. It's like,
Yeah.
it's very like, I feel like, and it's not even just the dialogue, it's the gameplay, like, or the game content itself too, because like, you're not covered in like blood like you were in the past three games.
Mm-hmm.
Every time, like in between missions and cutscenes, you'll be like splattered in blood all over your character as you're talking to people.
Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I think one thing that really bothers me with this game is you hear about Tavener in the previous games, and the Tavener Empire is really centered around like slavery, class systems. And for a game that's got a huge chunk of it in the Tavener Empire, they don't talk about it at all. Like they don't
talk
talk
about
about
it.
Not well, they talk about
They don't
it.
show it much.
They don't show it, and it's not mentioned that much. Like it's not like a focal point on the story for like I mean Docktown's in the center of it, and you don't really have like that whole. You didn't do a lot of quests circling around like there's. I just felt like there could have been quests circling around like class clashes in between like lower class slaves and upper class. It just didn't seem like it hit, and they skirted around the subject as to not. I don't know. It's almost like they tried to not offend anybody with the game.
Playing it a little safe.
And, it's a little disappointing because you hear about a lot of the Tavener Empire comes from Dorian in Inquisition, and he is in Veilguard, but he's in it for like 2 scenes, maybe, Dash?
Yeah, like, he shows up for one conversation and then has some role in the end final mission, but like dialogue is like not there for him much.
Which
like,
sucks because he's one of the more complex characters I feel from Inquisition. So getting him back,
he was like my top 3 in Inquisition.
He's a very good character to have with you in Inquisition. His banner's very good with other ones, and so that's a little disheartening. But going back to it, the final act, you basically run what's almost a suicide mission through the end of the game. There's a series of really good cutscenes. I'm going to tell you, this is some of the best level design that I think Dragon Age has entirely. Like the entire like backdrops, you can just stare at it. It's beautiful. They did an incredible job with that. And then I really just I think the guy who voices Solus, what is it, like Gareth David Edwards? We've talked about him and I cannot remember his name.
Let's see. Solus from Dragon Age is voiced by Gareth David Lloyd.
Gareth David Lloyd. I was close. Gareth Edwards is a director. Solus's voice acting is A1. It's very good. And then I don't know how yours ended, Dash. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I guess maybe we can touch on it a little bit. But if you played the end of Trespasser, basically Solus is trying to tear down the veil between the Fade and like all living life and basically just bring about almost like an apocalypse and fix what he thinks is a mistake. And in the end, basically you find out what's holding the Fade together is him and the Elven gods. and you can convince him to basically stop if you've done all the right things. And that's the ending I got. I feel like it was kind of the perfect ending to the game. And
yeah, that was the only one. That's the one that you basically had to do all the crossroads stuff to even unlock that condition.
I knocked all the crossroads stuff out before I even finished Act 2.
Yep.
Which was kind of shocking. They didn't have a lot of crossroads things for Act 3, considering you spend so much time there. But, I've talked to a couple people. If this game probably hadn't been rewritten twice, it went from Dreadwolf, and it had the multiplayer live service game they were going to make out of it, to what we got in Veilguard. You probably would have seen a better fleshed out game. And I'm probably for me, it's a 7 out of 10.
That's
maybe
a solid
8
game.
Maybe 8 out of 10. Solid
yeah.
game. I think with more time, and if they hadn't had the issues going through production, it might have been a 9. But I feel like I've got my money's worth out of it.
That's all you can really ask for, honestly.
And because I have the itch for RPGs right now, I went back and decided I would replay Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
So I've started my first playthrough since I got through some of the Dark Urge, and I think I had just burnt myself out on Baldur's Gate at the time. And you go back and you forget just how well made this game is. And there's so many patches and improvements that have come through since I finished it that have just made the game so much better. And there's so many quality of life fixes that wasn't there. And they announced
more subclasses.
There's more subclasses coming. There's a whole nother patch.
Drunken Master Monk, finally.
There's another, what is it, Oath of the Crown for Paladins coming?
Yeah.
Yep.
But every class gets a new subclass. It's the amount of content and dedication they've put into this game has shown, because they released the revenue from the game, and it made a lot of money. So, and it just proves like this is like The Witcher 3 for games. Like anytime somebody plays a game, they're gonna compare whatever game they're playing RPG wise to Baldur's Gate and say, why don't we have this? And there's always reasons that's going to happen. And so I try to take off those rose-tinted glasses and not judge things like Veilguard compared to that, because it's its own game, it's its own team, and the leadership at Larian seems to have their head on a little bit more straight than BioWare has in the past few years. And so
the only thing I'm asking them is, are they going to ever put back the cut content for Will? Because he's like one of the few companions that feels like they don't have much going for them.
Mm-hmm. They changed him up a good bit from early access. I remember early on you got a lot of his stuff with Minthara. Not Minthara, she's a companion. What's the name of the demon?
Is it Mazora?
Mazora. No, fuck it. We're just gonna whatever the fine ass demon lady that had tricked him.
Yeah, it's Mazora, I believe. Yeah,
Mazora. Okay, so where I'm at in the game, I have just finished the Goblin Camp. I saved the Emerald Grove again. I can't play bad guys. I try my damnedest, but I'm not gonna run off half my team just because I want to do some evil shit. I think I'm going to be able to recruit Minthara this time around, though, because I was able to, instead of killing her, I knocked her out.
Okay.
And if you knock her out in the Goblin Camp and then kill everybody else and then stop the Goblin Camp, she leaves and goes, and you can apparently see her at Moonrise. I haven't gotten there. I'm in the Underdark right now. I've installed a bunch of mods. I have the party limit mod to where you can have like 6 or 7 party members. And it's, I can't lie to you, we're very OP and we're killing everything very easy, but it's so fun. It's so fun just waxing through everything and having everybody together at once, and you can see everybody's reactions to different things. Because I played everything straight the first time. I didn't cheat or anything like that. I didn't cheese it. And this time I'm just going full cheats. Like I'm just having a blast.
Just having a good time.
So we're in the Underdark. I've got a ring that adds 10 points to all ability scores. Great mod. I'll have to find the mod Arthur and publish it. So all my ability scores are in the mid-20s to 30s. So I'm just one-shotting things with my main character. I've got
time though going on right there.
We're not invincible, dude. Shadowheart and Gale get smoked almost every fight, and I have to revive them. They get dunked on.
Well, do they have the ring?
No, it's only one. Let's give it to everybody. Not everybody deserves this godlike power. Only my character.
So you're in God mode.
Yes, half-orc, battlemaster, fighter. And his name's Orc McOrkface.
Hell yeah.
But other than that, played a little bit of Valorant with the boys. I will say I got another ace. It's like my 5th ace. I'm very proud of it. And I got 2 knife kills in one game, which I've only had like 3 knife kills the entire time I've been playing Valorant. So I'm very proud of myself.
Let's go.
We went on a nice streak. We won like 6 games in a row. Not doing so well now. I got shit on earlier today. It's the worst game I've ever played in my life. But still, having a lot of fun. It's good to be back. Friday night game night with the boys.
Hell yeah.
And that's it for me.
Dash, what about you, man?
I will start off with Veilguard 2 since I was able to complete it fully. Not yesterday, but actually, yeah, was it yesterday? It might have been. But yeah, so I went ahead, got my 100% completion on Veilguard, got the Platinum Trophy. It's very thankful that you can get it in one playthrough, unlike some other games where it's like you have to do this ending, this ending, this ending, or these choices. So thank you, BioWare, for that. Just like Eric, that final mission is very heavy on like the Mass Effect 2 suicide mission vibes. Like, I was kind of wondering at what point was there going to be like hard choices, and there really weren't many hard choices leading up until, well, maybe the city one, I guess, depending on that. For me, the hardest choice before the final mission was Emmerich's final quest line.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Look, I'll just go ahead. You know what? We're here to discuss it.
If you don't want spoilers, skip ahead a bit. Or
what did you choose? Did you choose for him to become a lich, or did you?
Yes, I chose him to become a lich.
Oh, you let Manfred die?
Because Manfred sacrificed himself.
No,
it was his decision.
Manfred's
that was his. Hey, I lost one skeleton. I got another skeleton, and he was fucking awesome.
Wait, he gets another skeleton?
Yes,
okay.
It completely changes Emmerich's look. He's a full-on skeleton lich after that point. It's awesome.
Cool. That's very cool.
Yes.
I'll tell you, he had some dialogue if you save Manfred, where he stops you and has a conversation and tells you how much he appreciates you not letting him become a lich to save Manfred and how happy he is.
Ironically, he says the same thing if you let him become a lich.
So, this is where you fucked up, BioWare. You should have had one choice feel like the wrong one, to where he presents you a little bit.
I feel like that, besides Emmerich's, where that was the one I had conflict with, all the other companion quest lines, it felt like there was just one obvious choice that was the good choice, and the one was the other. And every one of them has a different armor and a skill that you unlock when you make the decision. So I like that, and the legendary armor looks pretty cool for some of these characters. But yeah, that final mission, really amazing. I'd also had to go back and replay a little bit from an older save to unlock the secret ending, because I didn't find those 3 circle relic things to unlock. Did you find them?
I didn't, so I went and watched the secret ending.
Okay, so you know what it is then.
Yeah.
But obviously this is not the end of Dragon Age. We have a whole bunch of... There's a big tease with that secret ending.
Did you convince Solus to bind himself to the
Yes.
fate? That's what I did.
Yeah, I did all that side stuff, so I was able to convince him with all that stuff. But with that secret ending though, there's some heavy lore implications now, and I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with it. But hopefully BioWare doesn't take 10 more years for this. We'll see. But it was really great. Origins is still going to be my favorite, but I can definitely see Veilguard being a close second, if not for Inquisition.
Yeah. So it's I like Veilguard more than 2. I don't care.
2 is my bottom one at this point.
Like 2.
I like some of the characters in 2.
The cast is good in 2, but
it's just repetitive environments. The gameplay itself wasn't as engaging as I maybe would have liked, but it is what it is.
Were you a Reaper with your warrior?
Yes, I was a Reaper.
OP as fuck, bro. It's so fun.
I posted a video on actually Blue Sky of me just instantly annihilating a Darkspawn Berserker with my shield throws.
It was
fucking hilarious.
You just feel like Captain America when you're flinging that shield about.
Oh yeah, that's like my favorite build. Like
That's Thetis'
I
out.
want to do other builds in like the rogue and mages and see how they play also at this point.
I do want to do a rogue because I think you can either do you can do bow or dual blades, correct?
You do both because it's like the
'cause
warrior where
it's like
you
the warrior
just
where I didn't even use my two-handed weapon.
yeah I barely touched my two hair in the weapon. It was more for staggering at that point, but even then I could stagger pretty well with my shield. But yeah, I mean, one playthrough took me about 70 hours, I want to say, so it might be a while before I go ahead and try another class at this point. But
That's, I think, what I did about. I'm actually going to pull up my Steam real quick, and because I was looking at my Baldur's Gate hours after I played this newest one, and I'm at like 130 hours.
yeah,
Damn.
Baldur's Gate was like a 100-hour playthrough just for my first one.
Me playing through the early access content multiple times helped me go through the first act really quickly. And so Steam once Steam pulls up, go ahead.
Yeah, I have 72.6 hours. So
I have 45
Have you beaten the
hours
game yet?
no. I think I'm gonna restart it again too, like just because it's been so long since
messed
I
up your
played.
playthrough. I know.
I messed up my first one. I started a second one, and I think I'm in Act 2, and I think I'm getting ready for the Ketheric fight in Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would like to just have like a perfect run, like just.
I think I might do the same.
It's so easy to fuck up one or two things that your run won't be perfect.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I know. I let all the fucking people die in the Druid Grove, and
yeah, I don't know how you fucked that up.
That was a bad one. Fucked my whole game up. Me and Day could never be together. So sorry, Dash.
Anyways, yeah. Moving on from Veilguard, I'm gonna bring you to our Lord and Savior, Balatro. So this is like the most addicting game I have ever played in a while. I can understand the Game of the Year nomination now after playing it for as long as I've been playing it. I've gotten quite a few successful runs now. I think the highest ante I've made it to is like 11. It gets really hard near the end. So like, but I'm really starting to understand how to put these Joker cards together to build higher chains and stuff. And all I can think, it's like, I gotta introduce more people to Balatro. I gotta talk about Balatro. It's just like, it's like the Danny DeVito meme where it's like, I get it. Just, it deserves the Game of the Year nomination. It may be simple in its concept, but the execution is so well done and there's so much depth to it that it's definitely worth it. At the very least, it should be indie Game of the Year if it's not Game of the Year.
Oh, it will be without question, I think.
So I don't question the nomination as much as I did before I played it. It's like I had to see it to believe it, and now I'm a believer. A lot more Black Ops 6 zombies. Of course, that my favorite method is how to train your zombie. Puns intended, but. Just doing some more grinding on that, unlocking weapon skins, getting the season pass level up since I already got like the Vault edition, so might as well. So I got that Black Cell version. Some of the cool skins. I picked up an anime skin since they had one here recently. Always got to pick up the weeb skins. Picked up a couple new games over with some of the sales going on. So the first I picked up is called Vellum. So this is very in the line of Risk of Rain 2, where it's just an action roguelike game. You're playing as like these scribes who are like have different ink colors that you can choose from that have different abilities. Like blue ink is like a poison, yellow ink does critical damage, red ink will be lifesteal. So there's all these different types of inks. Then you have spells that you can unlock, and all of it works together. And as you're going through the missions, you can choose upgrades, kind of like an roguelike that will enhance your spells and abilities. And then in between levels, you're also choosing buffs for the enemies, and this like these buffs will keep on building as you're furthering your run, making the enemies a lot harder to deal with. So it's kind of like you gotta choose the one that you can handle the most. But me and my friend, we were playing it for quite a bit. Took us about 5 hours to probably break the game at that point. And I mean, break it. Like, my game was about to crash because of the stuff that was going on. Because I have a friend who likes to break every kind of game there is out there, and he does it so well. Um, Another game I picked up, it's another roguelike game, surprise. This one's called Wild Bastards. It's from the creators of Void Bastards, which was another roguelike game.
Okay.
So instead of being like, Void Bastards was about going on these abandoned ships, scavenging for supplies and stuff. You were always low on ammo and stuff. Wild Bastards is more of a Wild West space kind of theme. You have all these different outlaws that you collect as you're going on your run, and you go to different planets. It'll be like a grid-based kind of move yourself around. You get so many movement points per turn, and then your enemies will move around, and you'll encounter them in showdowns where it'll just put you in like this randomly generated map. And, you know, there's all these different aesthetics. You got like snowy mountains, your typical Wild West aesthetic, swamps, forests. There's all sorts of things that you can do, and all these enemies, and each outlaw has their different abilities. Like you got the sniper outlaw, the dual wield pistol one, a shotgun, one that can like do lassos and stuff. So it's really cool, really fun, really hard. Like it's, you really gotta use cover and try to like find where the enemy is before they see you, because they can do a lot of damage to you pretty quickly if you're caught off guard. Had a friend visit me, so even, you know, he's a big gamer, and he's big on Tekken, so he's a Yoshimitsu main in Tekken 8.
Oh.
So going up against a Yoshimitsu main is probably the most frustrating thing ever, because he has one of the most frustrating movesets to counter ever. And when you go against someone who knows what they're doing, it is the worst. But I'm a Nina main, so my Nina versus his Yoshimitsu, this is like the all-stars finals for like whatever like top tier teams you can think of in any sport or any category. So like we're always going back and forth on who's winning and who's losing. It's always been like a tradition for me and him to face off with this combo for years now. And I think it really started because this was like back during the days of Tekken 7. I visited up in Indiana. I was drunk off my ass. So I'm like laying back. I have drink in hand, controller in one hand, and I'm destroying him with my Nina. And then I lean up, I'm like, hey, did I win? Probably humiliate him the worst way ever. So Tekken 8 is always our go-to anytime I have him over. And he stayed over at my house a couple days. This guy is also a madman for Kingdom Hearts, so he was my coach for Kingdom Hearts 2. I returned Kingdom Hearts 2, and I finally beat the Lingering Will, which was...
Oh, is he the one who told you the cheese way then?
Yes. He's like, here, you could just do this, and you'll literally win. He's like, I beat Lingering Will once, legitimately. I never wanted to do it again because it's that hard. Okay. Like I get Lingering Will down to half health, trying to do it normal. It is one of the hardest boss fights I've ever had to deal with, and that's probably not even barring, you know, Birth by Sleep with its the Xemnas. I know it's who it is, but Xemnas and Kingdom Hearts, or Birth by Sleep, and then also you got Yozora and Kingdom Hearts 3. So those are probably like the big three frustrating ones. But yeah, I can let you in on the cheese if you really want to know it, because I was upset at how easy it was at that point. It was just...
Yeah, I may, because I'm still working on my Kingdom Hearts Platinum journey, so I may reach out to you once I officially get on that front on Kingdom Hearts 2. But
so it was an accomplishment of itself, because even while you're doing this cheese, you're just like sweating, because you're like, if I make one mistake, it's over, it's done. Yeah. And that cheese actually can work on some of the Organization 13 members too. Oh shit. So like I you know, not all of them, so I had to do quite a few of them legitimately in the fight, but I've done all the 13 of the data replicant fights. I finally did like all the Hades Cup stuff, so I have the full journal complete at this point. The only achievements I'm really missing for Kingdom Hearts 2, if I really wanted to go for the Platinum, is I have to get rescued by Mickey, because I never died, so I never got that to trigger. And then also all the gummy ship missions, having to do it, unlock all the blueprints and do it all. I'm like, I don't care about gummy ship stuff. I don't need these achievements. And then also beating the game on critical and proud mode, if I really wanted to do those too. I could get the platinum that way if I really want to. But
Hell
I'm
yeah.
not. I'm not sure. I'm not really a platinum hunter as much as some people might be, but
It depends on the game.
yeah. Like Veilguard, you can do it one playthrough. Okay. And then like I reach the end and there's 2 trophies I'll still missing. I looked them up. I'm like, oh, let me just load the save before the point of no return and get those. And I did.
Hell yeah.
And that's it for me.
Good. I feel like game-wise, that's actually pretty light for you. But
Really?
it is a holiday week. At least just the number of games, I mean.
The number of games maybe, but like it's mostly because Veilguard was the primary use of my time at that point.
Okay. No,
and a lot of Balatro, I'd say.
Yeah.
But.
So I've been playing Life is Strange, Double Exposure, really enjoying it. I am about 60 to 80% through, so I'll finish it before next week's episode, where I'll be getting on the Metaphor Refantasio train. I'm so stoked to be playing it. I did also pick up Dino Crisis because it's finally fucking available to purchase standalone on PlayStation. What's also cool is that kind of good guy PlayStation, if you had purchased Dino Crisis or Resident Evil 1 for PS3 or PlayStation Vita, you just automatically had it in your library at this point, which is very cool. So I did actually purchase Resident Evil 1 on my PlayStation Vita a long time ago. So I do have the original game. I have like a lot of different versions of that Resident Evil 1 title. But
let's get another remake.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, I'll buy it day one if they do, because that would be one of the funnest games to play in that over the shoulder, just very compressed hallways, and like it would be scary, but good scary.
Give me anything Resident Evil, Silent Hill, I'm there day one.
Seriously, 100%. So yes, Life is Strange, Dino Crisis, college football as always. Been playing a lot of Deadlock and wanted to shout out. I work for a tech company, not going to shout out who specifically. One of my customers at said tech company is a website called blitz.gg. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with them, but they actually create statistics for online games. So you can create an account or look up your username. They do Valorant, they do Destiny 2, they do Deadlock, which is a game I play very frequently. And you can actually look up your own stats from these games. It's just kind of a housing for that kind of stuff. So very cool. Just wanted to give a shout out to Blitz. Absolutely awesome. But yeah, that's about it. It's been a holiday week, so I haven't gamed as much as I normally would. I will be off the last 2 weeks of the year though for Christmas, and I will be gaming incessantly. So get ready for a long what are you playing during that period.
Ooh.
So let's talk gaming news. So this is kind of a two-parter. We have officially learned that Troy Baker is returning to Naughty Dog's next game. And we know that this game is kind of in full production right now. So a lot has been made of the fact that... So let's take a quick step back here. Naughty Dog during the PS3 era launched Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and The Last of Us, and the DLC. During the PS4 era, they launched The Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted 4, Uncharted The Lost Legacy, and The Last of Us Part 2. In the PS5 console generation so far, Naughty Dog has launched the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection, which is Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy, but PS5, so upscaled, looks really good, it's awesome, and you can usually get it for a really good deal, so get it if you don't. The Last of Us Part 2 remastered and The Last of Us Part 1 remastered, both for PlayStation 5, and they both look fantastic. And then canceled The Last of Us Online. So we have not had an original Naughty Dog game since The Last of Us Part 2. I am begging, I am praying that we can get a Naughty Dog game this generation, because whatever your opinions are of The Last of Us 2, and there's obviously a lot, they are excellent at what they do. They create some of the most stunning environments in gaming. When we had Joe White on, he talked about he really wanted to be a part of those teams, like to help create those environments for those games or that show. Like, they are incredible at what they do. I don't think that they'll ever make another Uncharted game, just because 4 left it in such a really good spot. That being said, I do think that their next game is not going to be The Last of Us Part 3. I think that The Last of Us Part 3 is going to happen, but I think their next game is going to be a brand new IP, which is exciting. But man, we could really use just like an infusion of Naughty Dog in this current state of gaming, because obviously games have kind of had just like a shitty taste in people's mouths, just the way that the industry has worked over the last, year, 2 years or so. And they're kind of one of our premier studios when we just think of like the level of games that they typically release. So obviously Troy Baker and them have had a pretty long-standing relationship. He is in Uncharted 4. He is in The Last of Us. And so whether it's going to be as like the star main person, he is he is that level of actor in the gaming community. So I don't necessarily think he's just going to be like a one-off character in whatever title's upcoming, but something to just pay attention to. And maybe they end up teasing whatever it is at the Game Awards. You never know. We had The Last of Us 2, was not done at a PlayStation event. They're not only, willing to show those titles at those kinds of things. And I think that we may end up getting a PlayStation showcase here within the next few weeks. There's been a lot of rumors about it. So also just something to keep our eyes on. Also, quick reminder, we're going to be doing a live stream for the Game Awards. So I believe it's December 12th. So definitely, if you guys want to hang out, let us know. We'd love to have everybody around. In the vein of what I was just talking about, shitty gaming news, Humanoid Origins is shutting down. So for those who are not familiar, Humanoid Origins is a Canadian gaming studio, which was founded by Casey Hudson, who was previously at BioWare. And they created this studio in 2021, and they are officially shutting down, which is bad in the sense that they launched in 2021 and did not launch a single game since they were created. A big part of this is funding, because we know, seeing from some of these other studios that it is a difficult time for indie studios to get funding as of right now. This is just another case of that. So we obviously hope everybody ends up falling on or landing on their feet, just in terms of like jobs, everything like that. But just a shitty thing. And especially because, Casey was a huge part of like BioWare's heyday too. So it would have been really cool to see, what they were potentially working on. Because you've seen a lot
major for Mass Effect trilogy, especially.
Yeah. Well, and you've seen a lot of, that influence from those original BioWare teams go elsewhere. I mean, obviously we've seen Yellow Brick Games, Mike Laidlaw, and his is not necessarily Mass Effect. His is more on the Dragon Age side, but even still, like it's a lot.
There's another studio made with Mass Effect veterans that I know they put out that trailer for the game. Like, that was their name.
And it's Exodus is the game. Drew Carpenter.
I thought that was Humanoid Origins for a second, and that's why I was like, didn't they just put out a trailer?
No. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because that would be seriously unfortunate.
Did y'all see how much so Star Citizen just crossed like $750 million in funding
for a game that is still in early access?
Yeah.
It's never gonna launch. It's never gonna.
It's too ambitious. It's just.
Yeah. But I think it's actually free to play till like December 3rd or something like that right now. A friend of mine asked about playing it, so. But yeah, so on some, I guess this is not good news, but it's not bad news either. So I feel like every single time Nintendo comes out and they say that the Switch hit a certain, sales milestone, PlayStation has to come out and just confirm that the PS2 has still sold more than the Switch. So we do officially know now that the PS2 has sold 160 million units, which is fucking nuts. Like, so if we're looking at the most consoles sold all time, just forever, so PS2 is number one. The DS is at 154, but obviously that's a legacy console now. It's not being sold anymore. Nintendo Switch is the highest active, but it would need to sell 14 million more.
That's doable, I think, depending on how...
It's going to get close. The Switch 2 is going to be released next year. And here's why I think it has a chance is because you're going to get that big discount on the Switch when Switch 2 launches. That happens with every console generation.
There's no way they're going to stop supporting the Switch either for probably...
because the Switch 2 is going to be compatible with the Switch games. That being said, Switch games are probably not going to be as upscaled as the Switch 2 games will be. I mean, that's part of your console, escalation. But it's just so funny that PlayStation's like, congratulations, but we've still sold more than you. Like, they just refuse to let go of that title. And I mean, hey, that was an insanely unprecedented time for PlayStation, because not only is the PS2, I feel like, so many people's like first DVD player. It was also, the home of launching some of the greatest games of all time. PS2 and PS4 for me were like the two greatest console generations.
Growing up, how many PS2s did you have in your household?
2.
I had 4.
You're a psychopath.
Well, I mean, it's not like, we had one in like every room of the house because it's like they can play DVDs. So like, here's a DVD player in the living room. Here's one in the game room. Here's one in your bedroom.
Yeah. Well, and then PS2 Sony just fucked it up so hard with a bungled launch of PS3. And
I was so mad when my dad bought me a PS3 for Christmas. Looking back at it, I was probably ungrateful. But it's like, I wanted the Xbox 360 because that's what all my friends had. So I learned to love my PS3 eventually, but
So in addition to those sales figures, CD Projekt Red has confirmed that The Witcher 4 is officially in full-scale production. They've talked about, they're going to avoid the mistakes that happened with Cyberpunk in terms of launching the game in a less than stellar state. And also, they've kind of doubled down on the fact that, like, we're going to make an amazing game, which I'm all for. Like, hey, you want to talk your shit, do your shit. Back it up, though. Like, so Cyberpunk is a, like, 9 out of 10 out of 10 game. It is, for me, it's that level now where it's at. And speaking of Cyberpunk, it just crossed 30 million copies sold, and that includes everything that got returned too. So like, that's taking into account all return numbers when it did launch in such a sorry state. Phantom Liberty has sold either 6 or 8 million copies, which for an expansion, that's a great attach rate. They're killing it in CD Projekt Red. And really, they've always killed that. I feel like Cyberpunk was just kind of a point where things got, you get pressure from internal stakeholders. And now, I mean, I feel like they're on their way back. And they're going to have to earn some good graces back, because some people never forgave them for the Cyberpunk fiasco. And I'm not going to hold that against anybody. Like, it's your choice to play whatever games you want to fucking play. So Cyberpunk, obviously there's a Cyberpunk sequel in development. Very excited for that. But The Witcher 3 is my third favorite game of all time. So I'm sure that and a lot of people's first favorite game of all time. I know that they're looking to just make this incredible. So wanted to just take a sec. It was Thanksgiving this week in the U.S. So for all of our U.S. Listeners, happy Thanksgiving. We hope you guys had an amazing holiday. Know that we all did. Got to spend some time with our families. Dash, sounds like you had a good time with your friend in town as well. Just want to say thankful for, obviously, you boys. I love being able to do this with my friends. I love getting to do interviews, which we're looking to get back on that train a little bit here. I know we have some stuff in the pipeline. We can't obviously announce too much yet, but we're talking with some people right now to get that going back up. Just wanted to say I'm so thankful. Gaming provides an outlet I think that a lot of people could definitely use, and yeah, it's been a fun year, boys. I'm really excited for what's coming.
I can return that sentiment. So thankful for you guys for allowing me to be on this podcast and continue to do this, and thankful for the space I feel like we have created within this gaming community, especially now. Like, I'm thankful for Blue Sky at this point. I've been addicted to it
We're getting Eric on there. It's been
Like,
a slow burn.
Still haven't made my profile.
It's so different because I can talk about video games and there's actual conversation about video games now. It's not just the cancer that's on Twitter and stuff about like anything that relates to gaming.
I will say that I think that Blue Sky's algorithm is better for connecting you with people who are interested in what you're interested in.
Yes.
It's a lot more moderated. The bots are a bit out of control on Twitter right now. And yeah. Speaking of Twitter and the D-bag that is Elon Musk, did you guys see that he is looking at buying Hasbro so that he can own the rights to D&D? Which
and then he wants to get into gaming and he wants to bring AI into it. Just make him stop, please.
Yeah, it's a lot of this I think is just him trying to like connect, like, how do you do, fellow kids, kind of a thing. But not a big fan of his. But well, we can skip over that because I'll get fucking lost on a tangent.
Let's just go on the positive things. Yeah. Let's not ruin it.
So last thing I wanted to touch on, I don't know if you guys saw this, but IGN has been doing a countdown of the 100 greatest PlayStation games of all time. So we did an episode, if you guys haven't checked it out, of our favorite games from each console generation, and a lot of our games are in this list, which makes sense. I mean, we're looking at some of the greatest games of all time. I just wanted to look at our top 10, just because I wanted to, get your guys' thoughts. There are some recent titles and there are some legacy titles here. So you're getting a little bit of both, which is good. You want to mix it up a little bit. So let's talk top 10 PlayStation games of all time. At number 10, I should also clarify, these are not single platform. Some of these are multi-plat.
And I disagree with that sentiment. These aren't PlayStation games then, if they're multi-plat.
I would agree with that. I think that it should be limited to games that are PlayStation iconic exclusive, PlayStation, or at least just came out originally on that platform. So number 10, they put Baldur's Gate 3. I have no issues with this. Eric mentioned it earlier in the show. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be looked at in the same vein as The Witcher 3 as probably the game of this generation. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. It's in my top 5 probably all time of any game I've ever played. I think that it's the most interactive game I've ever played. Literally have no issue with that. Number 9 is a game I have never played before, and I've talked about it a few times on this show. Grand Theft Auto 5. I know that Grand Theft Auto is obviously a series that touches a lot of people. I will play GTA 6 when it comes out because I kind of feel like I missed out a little bit on GTA 5. But fucking Rockstar is just raking in the money from Red Dead Online and GTA Online. And it's been... This is the reason you guys haven't gotten GTA 6 or a new Red Dead game yet, is because people keep paying them money on these online services. And GTA somehow is still in the top 20 games sold on PlayStation every month. Fucking month. How? I literally don't know how it's
must
possible.
Get banned and just rebuy the
game. I must say, people getting banned off of
Tarkov experience, basically just...
It's just ironic. It's like, I got banned from this game. Let me buy it again. And it's not cheap. It's still like a $60 game.
Yeah. It's just, I don't get it. But hey, to each their own. If you like GTA, I'm happy for you. I like GTA. I really like Vice City. I like San Andreas. I didn't play 4 or 5. But I like the Red Dead games. Rockstar is really good at what they do. So And it's safe to say that GTA 6 will have the largest launch of all time of any game. Without hyperbole, that is what's going to happen. So let's keep going on this list. Number 8, Uncharted 2. I think most people who you talk to who are Uncharted fans will say Uncharted 2 is the best game in the franchise. From a story perspective, it starts off in the best scene of any of the games. And I love the way that it starts. Just the train scene is iconic. I again, have no qualms with this. Again, we've got another entry coming in at number 7 from Rockstar, Red Dead 2. I'm actually kind of surprised this beat out GTA 5 just from a scale standpoint, but I
Dead
think the story of Red Dead 2 is better than GTA
and the
5.
gameplay itself, like the depth to the world and stuff, is so much more than GTA 5.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with both of those points. And Red Dead is a world that is like just so fleshed out. They did such a good job of creating not New Orleans in Red Dead 2. I mean, I've tried to restart Red Dead 2 and I hate the beginning so bad that it is so hard to restart, especially because it takes like 3 hours to get past that first beginning point. But once you're past that, it is I may just do it and then create a save so that I can just work from there going forward. But again, no issues with the rating here. Coming in at number 6, Final Fantasy VII. Again, no issues with this rating. There were a few Final Fantasy games on this list. 9, 10, 8, and 7 were all on this list. 6 actually may have been on the list as well. But 10 came in, I think, at 31, so not terrible. But again, this is kind of the most, if not the most, one of the most iconic PlayStation franchises of all time. And I am going to call it a PlayStation franchise because that's where its biggest, explosion happened. Number 5, The Last of Us. Second favorite game of all time. You're not going to hear any argument from me on this one. Naughty Dog coming in with 2 of the top 10 in this case, which, that's awesome. Number 4, Shadow of the Colossus. One of I think one of the most unique games that has ever come out, from a just super, super incredibly depressing storyline to just some of the most unique combat and just very cool traversal. Obviously, we're seeing Eternal Strands take a lot of influence from this, and we're seeing why it's going to be a very popular game when it launches. Shadow of the Colossus absolutely deserves its flowers. The PS4 remake did a great job of making it playable for modern audiences. So numbers 3, 2, and 1. Every game that's in the top 10 of this list, I absolutely agree with. I think where you place them could change just depending on who you're talking to, though. Bloodborne sits at number 3. Bloodborne is, for a lot of people, From Software's magnum opus. It's either Elden Ring or Bloodborne, just depending on who you're talking to. PC players have been begging for a PC port of this game for years. And
have you seen the rumors
that they're gonna do a remake of this? Or
apparently there's some website, it has some sort of countdown or whatever
for December 3rd.
Yeah.
That's right. And there's potentially going to be a PlayStation showcase or something on that day. If they were to announce Bloodborne getting a 60 frames per second patch, the internet will lose its goddamn mind. Bloodborne is an incredible game. No issues with this.
Need to play it once I get the PC.
But you love the soundtrack, which
we love the soundtrack. Yep, I have it on my D&D playlist. Most of those songs go for all the boss fights I do.
That actually is a really good idea.
Yeah.
So number 2, number 2 and 1 we have all played. So number 2, God of War 2018. I consider God of War and God of War Ragnarok 2 parts to the same game. Like it. So IGN's review says the peak of modern PlayStation is 2018's God of War, and I literally don't think you can encapsulate it any better than that. For being a franchise, and it's not like God of War was this like shot down franchise. Like it was already one of the most popular PlayStation franchises of all time. But I think to be able to reinvent it the way that they did, and redoing Kratos' character as, learning from his experiences against, the
More
Greek
stoic
pantheon.
than anything.
Yeah,
compared to the other games.
Becoming a father. We've seen this father-child relationship be so prevalent in modern gaming, and from a writing standpoint, I do think that it's a very like easy way to write, conflict, to also write like, that growing, building relationship, and a big part of that is performances. Kratos and Atreus' voice actors knocked it out of the park in this and Ragnarok. I can't complain about this game. God of War 2018 is a 10 out of 10 for me and one of the best games I've ever played. So, number 1, Dash, have you seen this list already? Do you know
Yes.
what number 1 is? Okay. Eric, I'm assuming you haven't. What do you think is number 1?
For PlayStation.
The best PlayStation game of all time.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
1.
Okay.
But you're on the right track. So
I almost said 2. That's why I paused when I said 4, but I started
2 is
thinking
a very
about it.
divisive title for a lot of people.
I like 2, man. Fuck.
People did not like it at
love-
launch.
Yeah, I love 2. So 4 is my favorite Metal Gear game, but 2 and 1 are like neck and neck after that. So Metal Gear Solid, as somebody who played it for the very first time this year, I get it. I get the hype. I get everything around it. I think that it is so cool, and I think it sucks that we don't have more games like this. I guess like you had the closest thing that like other platforms had was like Splinter Cell, I guess, from like a spy-ish kind of standpoint, but it's not the same kind of game. Like these were spy games with heart and with a super strong narrative, like nuclear war avoided at all costs. I mean, and this is a message obviously that is still so rampant today, which is why you were able to make the Phantom Pain, God, that was like 10, 12 years ago now, but I mean, it's a more modern title. And obviously we've got Snake Eaters coming out, probably in 2025. So I'm not going to argue this whatsoever. It's not my favorite PlayStation game. I would have probably had Kingdom Hearts in my top 10 as well.
Kingdom Hearts was
2.
down in the 90s.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 2, I should say.
I'm going to disagree with that one. But, we're also products of our time where these games meant something to us when they launched, and they still mean something to us today. Getting a 30 to 40-year-old man to play Kingdom Hearts 1 for the very first time right now, I just don't think it's going to hit as hard as it would for us when we started playing it.
When we were 12.
Yeah. And Kingdom Hearts 2 is peak Kingdom Hearts. It is the best game. If anybody says anything different, you're fucking wrong. I don't care what you say. But it is a little more accessible. But it doesn't hit the same way if you don't play 1. And honestly, if you don't play Chain of Memories as well, because they're really 3 parts to one larger story. And then things just get fucking crazy on the way to 3. But you could play those 3 games and things mostly make sense. It was very interesting seeing some of these games that popped up on this list. Like Dash said, Kingdom Hearts 2 was way lower than I would have expected. this top 10 list was pretty good, though. I really can't hate too much on this.
Yeah, I guess, like I said, my critique is you have multi-plat games in here, and some of them are not like PlayStation games. So like, I'm not gonna think of, let's say,
like The Witcher was number 16, and that launched on everything. So
yeah, or like Assassin's Creed 4 is on here.
Yeah,
like it's like, okay, yeah, it was a great game overall, but does it scream PlayStation? Like, PlayStation has a big enough library that you could have done a top 100 list of PlayStation games.
It's true. Silent Hill 2 clocked in at number 20 as well. So that could have been closer to top as well. But no.
Final Fantasy X is 31.
Yep. Well, I think that's a perfect spot for us to go ahead and shut this one down. Again, thanks to everybody for listening. You guys have anything else you wanted to touch on before we go ahead and close it out?
That's it.
All right. Well, again, everybody, hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll be back at it next week, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Have a good one.
Bye.